welcome to the Sloan Zone. For those of you who've watched my previous episodes, I have an announcement. It's not very literary. It's that I got my glasses fixed. They're tightened, so I won't be adjusting my glasses all the time like I normally do. Sorry if you enjoyed that aspect of the show. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. Reason being, I recently found out that I'm going to be a speaker at Gen Con. It's in Indianapolis. It's August 4th through 7th, I believe. It's coming up pretty quick. The date of recording this is July 12th. So 2016, if people are wondering a year later, why don't I see Justin's name on that list? But yeah, I'll be speaking there. Patrick Rothfuss is going to be there. Super exciting. John Scalzi, I think. Or am I messing up that name? Somebody else. The Lies of Lochmoria, whoever wrote that. Sorry, I'm stupid right now. But what I'm focused on is Patrick Rothfuss, because I'm super excited to see him. I just started reading that other book, which is why I'm not super familiar with it. And lots of other cool authors. P.T. Hilton's going to be there. He's a cool author who I've talked about before, who did the Zane Holloway series. He's actually the one who told me about Gen Con and that I should be going. And so then I emailed them and I said, hey, can I get on some panels? And they threw me on some panels related to video games and to self-publishing. So pretty cool. Other people that are there are going to be Eddie Webb, who we interviewed on the Creative Writing Career podcast. Also Lawrence Schoen, who we also interviewed on the Creative Writing Career podcast. So good host of folks. Toya Kristen Finley, who is in my book, Creative Writing Career 2, as an interviewee. And she has a little section in the back, too, that she wrote about networking at the GDC, Game Developers Conference in San Francisco. Anyway, so I keep going on and on about this. Gen Con, it's exciting. I should just label this that. But really, I want to talk about The Wise Man's Fear because I think it's an awesome book. I think Patrick Rothfuss is amazing. It's interesting that he did this story that's based on this guy who's like the most perfect person of all time. But it's being told through a narrator, of course, in the book, who might be him or might not. I don't know. So that's kind of a cool take on it, It's like you don't follow the stereotypical story structure, like if you read a Hollywood novel. A lot of my novels nowadays, like a lot of my younger novels, tend to be very Hollywood structured, I've been doing screenwriting for a while now, and when I write a 100 to 150 page book that's for like teenagers, I love to follow that story structure. If you read Land of Gods, Retribution Calls, and Tears of Devotion, the 3 books in my epic fantasy trilogy, you're not going to find a lot of that. You're going to find some wandering, some navel gazing, some stuff that doesn't totally follow the structure. It's not 150 pages, it's a 600 page fantasy trilogy. So similar with Patrick Rothfuss, he goes on some tangents here, some side quests, whatever you want to call them. I love the work, but I see where people complain about it. Like, you're supposed to be following this quest, and before you get as Patrick Rothfuss calls it on one of those podcasts he did an interview, before you get the Princess Leia medals, he goes and does something else. So a lot of the readers feel like, oh, I didn't get the medals. This isn't complete. So complete it. Don't go write this other thing. But I'm arguing the Patrick Rothfuss authors, I'm nowhere near his level, but myself, we gotta, every once in a while, break the mold and go out there and just have fun writing this awesome epic fantasy. And you should read The Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear, and book 3 will come out. He said he's taking his time on it because he wants to make it awesome, and I definitely respect that. It's a hard thing to do in the self-publishing world. He's not. I'm just saying, in the self-publishing world, that's something we often have challenges with because we don't have this big publisher behind us. We have an audience that might get bored and wander if we don't, keep putting out new material. And to a certain degree, you have to pay for your livelihood, so we're kind of pressured to keep putting out new material. So anyway, him as a traditionally published author, probably making a lot more money than most self-published authors, he's able to take his time and kind of focus on that 3rd book and making sure that he gets it right. So I'd love to see what his advanced check is like, I'm definitely curious. All right, Patrick Rothfuss, buddy, let's grab a beer at Gen Con. I look forward to meeting you. Take care, guys.